Did you ever think you'd see the day when Bill Maher praised Donald Trump? Well, that's what he's doing. Bill Maher recently met with the president because Kid Rock said you gotta meet him. And you know what? Bill Maher and Kid Rock are friends. And I want to give this major shout out to Bill Maher. Talk about a tremendous redemption arc. Look, I grew up listening to this guy. I was young. He was on Politically Incorrect, and I was phased out. I was too young. When he started doing Real Time, and I'm becoming a teenager and getting into politics, I started paying a bit more attention. So that's why I've been largely disappointed with Bill over the past couple of years. He overlooked so many of the cultural shifts happening in this country, and it seemed like his anger with Donald Trump was personal and not based on reality. So when Kid Rock meets up with him and says, hey, why don't you come with me and have a dinner with Trump? And Bill Maher says yes. I'm like, I like it. I do. And now Bill Maher has tremendous things to say about the president. Deadline reporting, Bill Maher praises gracious and measured Trump after White House dinner. Not as effed up as I thought. Well, I actually got the video here. We got Bill Maher's full monologue. Let's take a listen and see what he has to say about the president.
As you know, 12 days ago, I had dinner with President Trump, a dinner that was set up by my friend Kid Rock, because we share a belief that there's got to be something better than hurling insults from 3,000 miles away. And let me first say that to all the people who treated this like it was some kind of summit meeting, you're ridiculous. Like I was going to sign a treaty or something. I have no power. I'm a fucking comedian, and he's the most powerful leader in the world. I'm not the leader of anything, except maybe a contingent of centrist-minded people who think there's got to be a better way of running this country than hating each other every minute.
I completely agree. And that's the thing, too. Not to, I don't know, I guess make it about me, but I was invited to meet with Netanyahu. I will never turn down a meeting to talk with a world leader. Why should he turn down a conversation with Donald Trump, a man he so despises? And you look at what's happened, the left is attacking him for it. But hey.
So, thank you. So, meet up in person. Maybe it'll be different. Spoiler alert, it was.
Wow.
First good sign, before I left for the Capitol, I had my staff collect and print out this list of almost 60 different insulting epithets that the president has said about me. Things like
it's autographed.
Stupid.
Wait, did you guys catch that? Hold on.
I left for the Capitol. I had my staff collect and print out.
You can see Donald Trump's signature on Bill Maher's list of insults Trump has said about Bill Maher.
This list of almost 60 different insulting epithets that the president has said about me. Things like stupid, dummy, lowlife dummy, sleazebag, sick, sad, stone cold crazy. Really a dumb guy, fired like a dog. His show is dead. There's 60. I brought this to the White House because I wanted him to sign it. Which he did.
Oh, okay. I figured he was going to flip it over. Trump's a funny guy.
Which he did with good humor. And I know as I say that, millions of liberal sphincters just tightened. Oh, my God, Bill, are you going to say something nice about him? What I'm going to do is report exactly what happened. You decide what you think about it. And if that's not enough pure Trump hate for you, I don't give a fuck. So, no, I didn't go MAGA. And to the president's credit, there was no pressure to. After we left the Oval Office, he showed me the little room off the office, you know, the one where Clinton used to...
Not for the kids, but...
Okay. The blowjob room. Okay.
Okay. Well, we're there now.
Well, not anymore. That's where they keep the merch now.
I don't think he's joking about this.
It is.
Yeah.
And he gave me a bunch of hats, but he didn't ask me to take a picture in one, which I appreciated. The guy I met is not the person who the night before the dinner shit-tweeted a bunch of nasty crap about how he thought this dinner was a bad idea and what a deranged asshole I was. I read it and thought, oh, what a lovely way to welcome someone to your house.
That's Trump, man.
But when I
was gonna
got
pull
there,
that one up.
that guy wasn't living there. Now, does Trump want respect? Of course. Who doesn't? My friend said to me, "What are you going to wear to the White House?" I said, "I don't know, but I'm not going to dress like Zelensky, I'll tell you that." But, okay.
Now, to be fair, I did wear a suit when I met Trump at Mar-a-Lago.
Just for starters, he laughs. I'd never seen him laugh in public, but he does, including at himself.
What
And
goes
it's not
rallies?
fake. Believe me, as a comedian of 40 years, I know a fake laugh when I hear it. And I thank you for them. No. But, okay, example. In the Oval Office, he was showing me the portraits of presidents, and he pointed to Reagan and said, in all seriousness, you know, the best thing about him, his hair. I said, well, there was also that whole bringing down communism thing, waiting for the button next to the Diet Coke button to get pushed and I go through the trap door. But no, he laughed, he got it. I said to him at one point, "Mr. President, you know the dog, that's unusual in the White House." He said, "Well, a lot of the presidents, they had a dog for political reasons." I said, "No, people love dogs, that's what that is." "Oh yeah, okay, that's true." I'm telling you what happened. At one point, we were walking through his amazing, it is an amazing tour of the whole house. And I don't remember exactly what we were talking about, but it must have been something with the 2020 election, because I know he used the word lost. And I distinctly remember saying, "Wow, I never thought I'd hear you say that." He didn't get mad. He's much more self-aware than he lets on in public. Look, I get it. It doesn't matter who he is at a private dinner with a comedian. It matters who he is on the world stage.
That's true. I can't find this truth bus. I'm looking for it. We'll see if we can pull it up.
I'm just taking as a positive that this person exists, because everything I've ever not liked about him was, I swear to God, absent, at least on this night with this guy. Bob, Kid Rock, told me the night before, he said, if you want to get a word in edgewise, you're going to have to cut him off. He'll just go on. Not at all. I've had so many conversations with prominent people who are much less connected, people who don't look you in the eye, people who don't really listen because they just want to get to their next thing, people whose response to things you say just doesn't track, like, what? None of that with him. And he mostly steered the conversation to, what do you think about this? I know, your mind is blown, so's mine.
You know, mine's not, because I've been to Trump rallies. I've been to dozens of Trump rallies. And I've seen not only Trump laugh, make jokes, have a good time, be nice to people, be respectful, be mournful and grieve the loss of people's family members and loved ones, bring people up on stage to cheer them on. And I've seen at every one of the rallies that I went to in his first run. After the rally was over and all the journalists were leaving, the people that I was with were like, let's get out of here. Trump's walking down to the front row where the barricades are and shaking everyone's hands. And he's talking with people. So, you know, what Bill Maher is saying is no one actually has done the work to meet Trump and actually talk to him, to actually see him. No, don't get me wrong. Trump supporters have, but these liberals have not. And Bill is shocked some 10 years later that this is who Donald Trump is.
There were so many moments when I hit him with a joke or contradicted something, and no problem. At dinner, he was asking me about the nuclear situation in Iran in a very genuine, hey, I think you're a smart guy, I want your opinion sort of way. And I said, well, obviously you're privy to things about it, I'm not, but for what it's worth, I thought the Obama deal was worth letting play out because we made Iran destroy 98% of the uranium, and they were 15 years away from a bomb. And then I said to him, but we got rid of that. You got rid of that. He didn't get mad or call me a left-wing lunatic. He took it in. I told him I thought parts of his plan for Gaza were wacky, but that I had supported him in the idea that Gaza could be Dubai instead of hell. Wow. I told him he was wrong when he tweeted the night before that I was critical of all things Trump. Not true. Check the tapes. Moving Israel's embassy to Jerusalem, loved it. The border did need to be controlled. I'm glad the cops are getting their morale back. DEI had gone too far. Biological men shouldn't be playing women's sports. Europe should pay for their defense. And of course, it makes sense that Arab countries should take in Arab refugees, like the million Syrians who wound up in Germany when Saudi Arabia took none. He said to me, "You're right, they took none." I said, "Well, you should remind your boyfriend in Saudi Arabia that the next time you see him."
I think I found it. All right. We're going to pause real quick for context, because I did find the Trump post. He said, "I got a call from a very good guy, a friend of mine, Kid Rock, asking me whether or not it would be possible for me to meet in the White House with Bill Maher, a man who has been unjustifiably critical of anything or anyone Trump. I really didn't like the idea much and don't like it much now, but thought it would be interesting. The problem is, no matter how much he likes your favorite president, me," this guy's great, isn't he? "He will publicly proclaim what a terrible guy I am, very much like the Democrats at my recent address to the joint session of Congress, where I stated correctly that no matter what I said or did, they wouldn't stand, they wouldn't applaud, they wouldn't smile or laugh, and certainly they wouldn't be in any way nice. Who knows? Who knows, though? Maybe I'll be proven wrong. In any event, I'm doing a favor to for a friend. I look forward to meeting with Bill Maher, Kid Rock, and I believe even the legendary Dana White will be present. It might be fun or it might not, but you know, you will be the first to know." So I wonder if there may be more to that, but let's go back to what Bill Maher was saying.
He laughed. I never felt I had to walk on eggshells around him. And honestly, I voted for Clinton and Obama, but I would never feel comfortable talking to them the way I was able to talk with Donald Trump. That's just how it went down. Make of it what you will. Me, I feel it's emblematic of why the Democrats are so unpopular these days. He was even okay when I checked him on the orangutan lawsuit.
Notice how Bill Maher keeps trying to check himself, saying, Trump was a good guy, but hey, just make up your own mind. Make up your own mind.
He was.
And I'll tell you right away. He is concerned that he is going to piss off a large portion of his audience when he says this. And I'll tell you the exact same thing, because when I do it too, when I say things like, guys, I'm not saying you have to support Israel or support Gaza. You see me say the same thing because people lose their minds. We've been talking about the Carmelo Anthony thing. And I keep saying, by all means, condemn him as a murderer, but read the police report. Here's what it says. And now what's crazy is this is why Bill Maher does it. Because people have pulled clips out of context from my show to change what my opinion on to make it seem like I had a different opinion, because they get clicks for it. It's the same thing Anna Kasparian was complaining about with the left, that she makes some commentary and all of a sudden all these out of context videos are popping up, changing the gist of what she's saying, because nobody actually does the groundwork. Nobody actually wants to listen to the full show, and those that do get it. So you end up seeing, everything Bill is saying, his true fans who watch a show are going to say, that's not what Bill was saying. And the hater, insane anti-Trump people are going to be like, ugh.
He said to Dana White, Bill said my father was an orangutan, and I really love my father. And I said, well, Mr. President, I did that because I didn't like what you were doing regarding Obama's birth origins. I thought that was low. Again, no anger, just a little smile, as if to say, yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I went.
The most surreal part of the whole night was when I got home. I flew back right after the dinner, and I'm in bed watching 60 Minutes from the night before. And there's Trump in one of their stories, standing at a podium in a room that looked to me like one of the rooms and places we'd just been in. And he's ranting, disgusting, you're a terrible person. And I'm like, who's that guy? What happened to Glinda the Good Witch?
I'm telling you, everybody who meets Trump says he's the nicest guy in the world.
And why can't we get the guy I met to be the public guy? And I'm not saying it's our responsibility to do that. It's not. I'm just reporting exactly what I saw over 2.5 hours. I went into the mine, and that's what's down there.
It's true.
A crazy person doesn't live in the White House. A person who plays a crazy person on TV a lot lives there, which I know is fucked up. It's just not as fucked up as I thought it was. And I have no illusions now that I'm back to work at my job that he might start a new list.
Nah, he'll be nice to you, Bill. He'll be nice to you. He's going to call you on the phone.
Because I don't have a good feeling and will be critical about a lot of what he's doing, the trade war and disappearing people.
And that was always allowed. I come on this show and I've criticized a lot of things done by a lot of people. When it comes to Trump, the missile strikes in Syria, we always criticized. They gave me an interview. I got to meet him in person. I said we should not have done that. I've talked about TikTok. I think Trump is wrong. However, considering we're moving now towards the TikTok divesting from their Chinese investors, I think we're on the right track here. I don't think Trump should be defending TikTok, but to be fair, all he's done so far is a pause on the bill, or on the law, which I can accept. You've always on the right been allowed to criticize Trump as long as it's based in reality. If you said Donald Trump, how many times have I said Donald Trump signed off on a commando raid in Yemen that, according to witnesses on the ground, resulted in the death of an American girl, and that should be investigated? I've been saying that since his first term, and they invite me on stage at TPUSA. They invite me to these roundtable discussions. They invite me to these events. I've been to the White House. You're allowed to criticize the guy. Just don't make up fake things.
Ruling by decree, threatening judges, gutting the government with glee. But I also think he now understands I have a job to do, or at least he did on this night, because he said to me early on that he'd seen our last episode, which was the Friday before this dinner. And he said, I thought maybe you'd be nice, but you hit me really hard. I did, because I'm not going to pull my punches that presidents get to propose a third term for themselves. He understood that, and without animus. That doesn't mean he's not going to try to do it.
Yeah, and I will say in that regard, Trump has talked about how he'd like to deport American citizens. No way. No way, no how. Or not deport, but send them to El Salvador. He's like, wouldn't it be nice, the worst of the worst? I suppose, to be honest, because if it comes to the death penalty, I was talking about how I've changed my mind a little bit yesterday. As long as we have better safeguards, maybe I'd be willing to compromise. Because I know the right, and I know that we're a system of representative democracy. Right? People are going to vote for systems that they want in place, and I'm not the arbiter of what should or should not be. And so I was like, if we have safeguards, but at the same time, which would any individual prefer? We can send you to the El Salvadoran prison or death row. And maybe it actually is better that someone is given the choice. You are convicted of a capital punishment or capital crime. Okay, death row awaits, or you get to live, but you got to go to El Salvador. I actually think that's not unconstitutional, and that is preferable. I do think, however, the left will twist that if that were the case. That being said, if it's a general, some bad guys we're going to send to El Salvador, I'd be like, nah, special circumstances.
At one point, I said to him, you're scaring people. Do you really want to be scaring your own citizens so much? And I know now you're all saying, and what did he say to that? Honestly, I don't remember. But it wasn't, okay, I'll stop.
Yeah.
So MAGA fans, don't worry. Your boy gave me nothing. Just hats. Hats and a very generous amount of time and a willingness to listen and accept me as a possible friend, even though I'm not MAGA, which was the point of the dinner.
That's how all MAGA is. This is what people like Bill have been missing for so long. But I say this with respect. This has been one of the most honorable things I've seen Bill do in a long time, and it's what we've been begging for. Guys, just go to a dinner. I remember, I think it was during Berkeley, I went to a dinner with a bunch of Trump supporters because I don't care. I'm like, these aren't boogeymen running around, doing anything crazy. And we hung out, we talked. And I talked about racial housing markets, Pruitt-Igoe, I talked about blockbusting and redlining, and they were like, oh, I didn't know that. And I'm like, maybe if people were willing to have real conversations with people, they'd find out that the Trump supporters are regular Americans who are sick and tired of the system being used against them and us being sold out. They're not far right. Many are not even staunch conservatives. Many are. They're just regular people. And they finally have in Trump someone who's willing to fight for them.
Part of the whole night was we were standing in the blowjob room. We were. And he said, you know, I've heard from a lot of people who really like that we're having this dinner. Not all, but a lot. And I said, same. A lot of people told me they loved it, but not all. And we agreed. The people who don't even want us to talk, we don't like you.
Wow.
Don't talk, as opposed to what? Writing the same editorial for the millionth time and making 25-hour speeches into the wind? Really? That's what liberals have? He takes the piss out of everybody else and we can hold ours? Okay, that's my report. You can hate me for it, but I'm not a liar. Trump was gracious and measured, and why he isn't that in other settings, I don't know, and I can't answer, and it's not my place to answer. I'm just telling you what I saw, and I wasn't high.
He's got a point. He really does. Carl Benjamin was making a similar point. We'll wrap this up, and I'll throw down some facts from Carl Benjamin.
Damn, missed opportunity. All right, we got a great show.
So that was his opening monologue where he basically said, Trump good. Trump good. Carl Benjamin came on Timcast IRL. We were talking about how the White House posted the Ghibli meme of the fentanyl dealer being arrested and deported. And he said, no, don't do this. And we're like, why? It's funny. He said, if Trump has proven anything, it's that people can change their mind. And from the 2020 election till today, people did, and they have given him support. Now's the time to prove that what we got over the past 4 years with Democrats was a disaster and that Trump is the adult in the room. And that's fascinating. Bill Maher experienced what so much of us experienced when you meet Trump. He's the nicest guy in the world. The stories, every employee I've ever met, they say Trump walks in and he has $100 bills. Imagine that being your company. Your boss shows up one day with a big stack of hundreds and just, here you go, everybody. Bonus. People love him. And this was one of the first things I did when he announced his run for office, and the left was calling him a demon. This is back in 2015, 2016. I went to Trump Tower in New York. They got a steakhouse there. They've got a ice cream shop and a bakery. When you walk in, you go down the escalator. There's 2 escalators. And actually, no, I think, did he go down? There's 1. Oh, no, are there 2? I haven't been there in a minute. I asked the employees, so what do you think of Trump? And they're like, he's great. And I was like, oh, you like him? You meet him? And they're like, yeah, of course. He comes down all the time. And I was like, oh, that must be cool, like to see Trump come down. And they're like, yeah, he comes down and has his $100 bills. It's like, oh, wow. You know, it is true. I think the issue is that Trump, what people like about him, he's not going to back down. So when you go after him and insult him, he's going to come after you and insult you back. But if you are reasonable and honest, he's going to be nice and say, I like that guy. He's nice. He's honest. But what we're seeing with the corporate press, with the media, Bill, if you're wondering why he's not that guy on TV, it's because the people who come to these events, they lie. They lie. They manipulate videos. They manipulate photos. The Very Fine People hoax is the best example. And Joe Biden ran on that for his campaign, lying about what Trump said. So Trump says, screw you. Maybe that makes it easier for him to attack him. I don't know. But my friends, we'll wrap it up there. That was really interesting to see. I got to be honest, and I am impressed, and I find this very honorable from Bill Maher. My team's been talking with his team about maybe going on Club Random. We'll see what happens because I don't know. They do it once a week, I guess. They told me they're looking for dates, and I'm like, okay, let's have that conversation. Let's see how that goes. I'm going to wrap it up there, my friends. We'll have a few more segments coming up for you today. Stick around. Thanks for hanging out. Follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast, and we will see you all soon.